After 8 years of the nomadic life, involving crossing oceans in a 34-foot Sabre, refitting an aluminum boat, and then taking that to the Arctic Circle, we're back at it again with a brand new build. This is Matt and I'm Jessica. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and join us every week as we start our newest project of building a 42-foot catamaran from the ground up.
Cosmetic things now, away from some of the structural things we've been doing and starting that process because we want to start kind of fairing this interior. It's going to take forever. It's going to be kind of a fairly boring process. So we're going to break it up into a bunch of different little pieces and start off in the v-berth area over on the guest hall, because that's going to be used majority of the time as just storage, and it's a good place for us to learn how to fare properly. But first piece, we're installing this chamfered piece, this piece that goes kind of roughly in this area. And what that is, this is a bulkhead, hull side, the inner hull side, and then another bulkhead back here. Give you a quick little rundown of what the rest of it looks like. And we just need to make it look like this hull section continues on that same angle to this bulkhead. So it just cosmetically looks good. Because this is non-structural at all, it's not going to be carrying any load. It's just going to be a really light lamination, light glassing to kind of hold it into place. And so easy process. And then just one layer of double bias 12-ounce glass will end up going over the top of this and around the coves over on that side. So should be a quick process. Just take a couple hours and get that done. Doing the one over on the owner's side, the shower area as well.
At this point, you can see Matt has already placed in a cove or fillet running along the overhead as well as the bulkhead and the top of the bed, using our Total Boat polyester structural repair putty. Any open gaps along the new curved portion were also filled with this thickened polyester. Each section received 2 sheets of our 45-45 double bias fiberglass, and once applied and wet out with resin, had a metal roller used to push out any excess air bubbles. Lastly, sheets of peel ply, a nylon material, were applied on top, which soaks up any overflow resin and leaves a smoother surface, which will make the fairing process much easier. Previously, Matt and I went through the process of finding the perfect placement within our master head to position the toilet, after making sure that we had raised it a comfortable height off the floor and rotated it on an angle which would not be intrusive to our walkway, as well as allow us the necessary room to work with hoses and plumbing, and still allow us decent cabinet space. It was time for Matt to build the base which it would sit upon.
Some quick little curves in here. so I can bend this then to mimic our curve that we have here. Still gonna require a lot of filling and fairing and so on, but at least it will get us our basic setup without too much problem.
I'm feeling mean, I'm feeling mean. Tonight I'm feeling mean. Gonna make an ugly scene. Tonight I'm feeling mean, I'm feeling mean. Tonight I'm gonna pick myself a fight. If some deserving dirtbag, black eye, and if he swings at me, then I'll bust that sucker's knee. 'Cause tonight I'm feeling mean, I'm feeling mean. I'm feeling mean, I'm feeling mean. The meanest come from me that anyone's ever seen. Get out of the way of the hurricane. There's a heavy rising.
Okay, you may be wondering why I'm doing this right in this area. It's that the head, which is the shower area that we're in right now, or basically the head area, where this is going to go right about here for spacing wise. But this is the one area that I have heated right now, so it is now my work area because I do have it up to 68 degrees right now. So this works fine for this project. Give you kind of a quick little flyby so you can see. It's like a little squeeze out there. What it's doing around here. And of course this does have to be glassed again. The upper edge, basically the top of it, needs to be rounded over, and I'll go through and glass that, put a nice little bead on there, and then we'll be able to fair it and actually glass this into place. And we'll go over how we're going to do that later, to get access to the bolts that actually hold down the toilet too. We need to cut an opening in the middle, so we can get to that. But yeah, quick, easy project. Just need to now wait for it, and then in a little bit I can take that off and start sanding it and cleaning it up and putting on the actual reinforcement, the fiberglass reinforcements for it to give it some strength. Alright, so took the clamps off now and kind of trimmed down the sides so it fits. Give you a quick idea of what that little thing looks like now. Again, lots of fairing, lots of glassing that needs to go on that to strengthen it up, and then to actually bond it into place, of course. And we'll round over those edges, make it look nice. But I think that'll work for the toilet. I'm going to try sticking it on right now and see how that works. Kind of just temporarily quick cut a bulkhead to represent the side of that vanity there. And just a quick little trim piece for back here, just to see again what that kind of, this whole space looks like. And I think that's going to be the process for all of these areas, are just wing it. Kind of try it, see what works out, and hopefully the first time works, most likely not. So we'll try it, see each one of these steps, how we can kind of improve on that. And a lot of them aren't going to get permanently glassed in because I think there is going to be some changes we're going to want to make throughout the process. So we'll screw them or just use like a glue gun to hold them in place temporarily until we can kind of figure everything out, get it all laid out, and then we can do a quick little walkthrough and figure out, do we have enough elbow room, is this a good height for these things, all those different things that go into building this process, or building these things out. "37 degrees right now in our aft master bunk.
And I'm assuming that's what the temperature was over on the guest aft side, which is where we're actually going to be working today, bonding the bed in. But right now we have both of our radiator oil radiator heaters in there, kind of warming it up so that we can get the cove done, let that start to set, and then go back and glass. But this is, yeah, some of the coldest weather we've experienced yet. Yesterday's high was like 26 or 27. We somehow still managed to do some bonding. I think we're going to be ready for a trip to the warmth soon. So as you can see in here, Matt is keeping all of the edges straight by putting, I guess you could call it straight edges, clamped on to the outer form of the bed here. And so once this warms up just a little bit more, we're going to do coves along the outside edges there, and then also on the undersides up in there. And then we're going to come back after lunch and glass them in, but based on when we did the other side, I get to be in this like little spot down here, and yeah, even for me that's not a lot of room, especially when like I'm trying to get under here and my head is bumping against that.
Power, realize your power, finding out myself, finding out myself. Power, realize your power, finding out myself, finding out myself.
The thermometer is falling over and I don't know what temperature it is in here. But I do have our heat gun so we can figure out. So the area that Matt is getting ready to cove is up in the upper 60s now. Perfect temperature. And the inboard side is already looking nice. And I have a feeling that right about now Matt is regretting his choice for long underwear under his jeans. Yeah. It does not take very long to go from freezing to sweating in here, so it's always interesting running in and out of these areas. Like if you have to go under the deck to get stuff super cold, come in here, you're sweating. Well, we'll get it figured out. Before we know it, it's gonna be hot here again.
Go where you wanna go, do what you're gonna do what you wanna do, go where you wanna go. Get on with it, come on, get on with it, come on, get on with it, come on, get on with it. It's what I say, what I say. Listen what I say, listen what I say.
Now I can see the finished job of Matt having done its cove. We're going to let it get tacky, hopefully harden it up just a little bit, because we're still at that point right now where like any bumps to it could take it out of alignment, so it's no longer level. So make sure I'm not leaning on it here. And then we're just going to like go back to the Viking, heat up a little bit, have some food, come back, and then I think between the two of us it'll probably take 2 hours to glass the top and the bottoms, because some of these areas not so easy to reach. We've actually got ice forming in the travel well lift here at the marina, and today and tomorrow temperatures are about 10 to 15 degrees above freezing, but they're gonna go back to way below freezing in the next week or two, highs not even over 30, so it's gonna be interesting when that happens. And home sweet home, where Tucker's kind of rocking like crazy and we're pretty steady here. And our ice around the boat is just starting to melt now. I can honestly say that when we were scouting out locations for the boat build, I didn't think that we'd be living in snow and ice. Alright, we've come back and the coves are getting to their like perfect level of tackiness that we could glass over and still be able to push the air bubbles out of the corner, which is exactly what we're looking for. But now we have run into a slight issue because always when we're first making these areas, one of us will go through and do the measurements for the fiberglass so we can properly cut them all down into size. The only problem is after that, usually Matt or I, mostly Matt, will go through and sand prep those areas. So if we've marked them numerically like 1 through 5, 1 through 10, however many pieces we need to keep that number out of the sanding radius. Otherwise, when we're sanding, it disappears. And that seems to be the case right now. So the underside, when Matt did those, he wrote them like really far down. So I know exactly the pieces of fiberglass I cut where they need to be in here. But for the top section, there's no remaining evidence of any numbers that used to be there, and because there's such long spans across here, usually we break that up into multiple pieces, so it's going to take just a little bit more work than doing a full measurement and say, okay, this is, you know, like 2 meters or whatever, match it up to 2 meters because they're broken in multiple pieces. So now I get to do a little bit of math. Okay, now I have my total measurements of the 3 largest sides, and from there I'm going to try and add the other figures together until I get those numbers. And holy crap, is it getting hot in here. I just took off my coat. I need to take off my sweatshirt because with both of these heaters running, we're at 76 degrees right now. So again, part of the issue, like when you're outside in the main area of the tent, it's in the 30s, around 40, you jump up in here, climbs 40 degrees, lots of like layers coming on and off. I actually ended up figuring it out quite simply, and I don't know why I didn't pay attention to the numbers before, but as I was sitting in here looking at the entrance to the bed, I realized that there were 2 very small areas, and so I'm like, okay, what are the smallest areas we have here? 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7. Much easier than I thought.
Come on, get on with it. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Baby, you're gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you're gonna be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. Baby, you gon' be mine. Baby, you looking so fine. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. Get on top now. Get on top. Get on top. Get on top, yeah.
Power, realize your power. Finding out myself, finding out myself.
I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left, you go right. Live it up, dance all night. I go left.
A few hours later, and the both of us have finished glassing the port side guest bed in. And it actually got so hot in here at one point that I had to like run out into the bridge deck and take off my long underwear that I was wearing because I was just sweating to death in here. It actually went pretty well. A lot of the areas that I had troubles in when we did the master seemed easier, or maybe this time I went in with really low expectations. And so when I was in this little area here, I'm like, you know what? I thought it was worse than it was. It's not so bad. But anyway, this part's done now, which means Matt can start working on the clamshell doors. We can start building up like the webbing that goes over the chamfered panels and seams, and just keep it building up and up from there.